A Mighty Curtain Call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui on Stage is producing Lee Cataluna's 2023 dramedy, Flowers of Hawai'i, directed by Camille Romero. Ms. Cataluna's bio says she is a native of Hawaiian descent and lives in Honolulu and has an MFA in creative writing from UC Riverside. Her recent work includes prestigious commissions from Marina Stage, La Jolla Playhouse, Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and San Francisco Playhouse. Her plays have been developed at Ohai Playwrights Conference, Chautauqua Institute, Purple Crayon Players at Northwestern University, Atlantic Theater, and Native Voices at the Autry. She was a finalist for the Eugene O'Neill Award. Her play, Home of the Brave, has been performed by schools, children around the country. Several of her projects have been supported by the NEA grants. She writes plays for children as well as general audiences and has written for digital theater and television. Flowers of Hawai'i is only 90 minutes, but in that 90 minutes, the play explores every aspect of ohana and dysfunction, greed, selfishness, criminality, sexual deviance, cheating, racial ethnic stereotypes, homosexuality, friendships, social responsibility, domestic violence, drug addiction, and mortality, in 10 emotionally charged, at times uncomfortable, and some very funny scenes. Each scene is named for a flower of Hawai'i. Ms. Romero, in her director's note, says, quote, "I recognize friends, relatives, and neighbors on every page. Each scene is relatable to situations that either I have lived myself or witnessed others close to me experiencing," unquote. It is clear she understood this material. From the opening silence during the patriarch's funeral to the closing at the grave of the matriarch, Ms. Romero brought out the dissension in each scene. Her cast found the emotional resonance the playwright called for, and the audience felt it all the way through to the appreciative standing ovation at the play's finale. I cannot think of another play produced since my coming here more than 2 decades ago that called for the variety and level of sexual intimacy this play did. Kudos to Christy Scott, the boundary training and intimacy coordinator, for doing the work to create a feeling of well-being for the actors so they were able to do their jobs truthfully. As the matriarch of the family, Mary V. Amy Pierce is the star of this show. She demonstrated dignity and reserve at the loss of her spouse, awareness and love for a criminal drug-addicted grandson, Eddie Samson Ching, understanding about the familial conflict that will result upon her demise, and a need for physical intimacy her sister-in-law, Mary M. Samantha Maxwell, did not share. These scenes would be a challenge for even the most veteran of actors, but this is Ms. Pierce's acting debut. Bravissima, absolutely outstanding performance, and I hope she will keep her eyes out for other roles. She has a command and comfort on stage it takes a lifetime to attain. Virginia Sandel has been involved with the EL Theater on and off stage since long before I arrived here. But since then, I have never seen her tackle a role like Deidre, a mother of an emotionally damaged child, Ludi, Victoria Navarro, who attacks her for welcoming a helpful neighbor who her daughter sees as a rapist. Ms. Sandel's moment of setting her daughter straight while rationalizing the sexual assault committed by her best friend's son was one of the most truthful in this entire play. Outstanding work. I wish Ms. Cataluna had included that party scene. I cannot think of another actor who could have pulled off Orlando better than Reuben Carrion. In the scene entitled Bird of Paradise, he has to play an ethnic stereotype while arguing with his daughter, Colleen A.J. Ching, about his true ethnicity. He has one of the funniest lines in the show when he talks about what combination of ethnicities adds up to Filipino. Then he opens the second act in a scene called Night Blooming Serious. He wonders why his neighbor Paul, Adrian J. Dalgay, is sitting outside at 2 a.m. smoking and stargazing. When he discovers the reason, only Mr. Carrion could pull off the hypocrisy the playwright asks Orlando to exhibit. In that one scene, Mr. Carrion revealed the many nuances of domestic violence and takes both sides in a blink. No mean feat. Speaking of Paul, Adrian J. Dalgio's scenes were among the most complex in this play. First, he had to fend off Orlando's desire to defend his wife from the assumed abuse he was presumed to be guilty of. Then he had to convince Orlando that he had no desire to beat his wife for having given him a black eye. In the final scene with his cousin Charlie, we realize Paul's situation has depressed him to the state of suicide. It is another highly charged emotional scene. Mr. Dalgio brought out all of the conflicts in this character and became the most sympathetic of everyone in this show. As Charlie, Haven Sullivan was a quintessential moke. He came to his grandma's grave with grinds, a beach chair, and simpatico for his cousin. He has the best line in the show, and it helped the audience appreciate what they have witnessed throughout this play, especially the brawl in the previous scene. Credits to fight choreographer Daniel Vickers. I'm not going to reveal it, but when it came, it was a cross between a bombshell and a floral bath. The scene between Bane, Jason Giraud, and Jess, Lily Werner, was like watching a metrosexual version of Cheech and Chong. Ms. Werner's Jess was a convincing stone suitor, and Mr. Giraud played the reluctant prey perfectly, and his reveal was hilarious. Victoria Navarro had two roles as Virginia Sandel's beach blonde dysfunctional daughter, Ludi, and as the greedy, destructive, angry sibling, Teresa. Ms. Navarro knows how to project, and her breakdown and apparent reconciliation at the conclusion of her scene as Ludi was a beautiful moment. As Eddie, the drug-addicted grandson of Mary V., Samson Ching understood the mendacity and desperation of this character. Samantha Maxwell has the uncomfortable role of Mary M., sister-in-law to Mary V. She has to fend off Mary V's unwanted and outrageous advances at what turns out to be Mary V's final visit, and then she has to explain to Billy, Francis Tawa, Mary V's rapist son, why he is not allowed into his late mother's house. Talk about heavy lifting. This role would tax Samson, but Ms. Maxwell played it as if it were as light as a feather. As Billy, Francis Tawa, one of our finest actors, shoulders the outcast son with his customary ease and appreciation of the character, another notch on his belt of outstanding work. This play is not easy. It will linger long after the blackout, and as all good theater engender deep thoughts and conversation. It is not a play to bring children to. Please obey the producer's admonitions. The quilt on the bed in the show has a marvelous pedigree. It is an authentic hand-stitched Hawaiian quilt made by Kumu quilter Wilhelmina Minnie Kealoha Whitford, 1906 to 1989. For her son, Larry, the executive director of Maui on Stage's Luana Whitford Mitchell's dad. She entitled the quilt, The Road to Haleakala. Kumu Whitford started the quilt in the late 80s. Unfortunately, she passed before she could finish it. Larry's wife, Rita, sent the quilt to St. Michael's Roman Catholic Church Quilting Bee in St. Louis, Missouri. It was the first Hawaiian quilt they had ever seen. 3 months later, the ladies had finished it, and Rita went and brought it back to Maui. You only have 3 more chances to catch this rare locally created show. Friday at 7:30 and Saturday and Sunday at 3 p.m. Go to MauiOnStage.com for tickets and information. Buckle your seatbelts. This one is as funny, scary, thrilling, and challenging as any roller coaster you've ever been on. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for tuning in. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.